Check out what was just sent to us to test out in video and share with y'all. It's a Whetstone Knife Sharpening Kit, and it's a Japanese brand called KERYE. We're gonna go with KERYE. So it's a premium knife sharpening stone kit. And on the back it says, made for the professional chef, but easy to use for the home cook. And this professional grade sharpening stone will keep you safe in the kitchen. It's originated from Sakai, Japan, and certain things never change, it says. So behind Sakai KERYE brand is 600 plus years, yes, 600 years. 600 plus years of knife making history by skilled craftsmen of Sakai City, Osaka Prefecture. Originally famous for the production of samurai swords, the makers in Sakai take pride in their work and never compromise on quality. Quality is of utmost importance to KERYE, and that is made evident in these sharpening stones. So you might ask, why would I need such a fancy Whetstone knife sharpening kit out here at the ranch in Homestead? Well, we have a lot of knives and we do a lot of cutting out here and they get dull. Now, I can't tell you how many pocket knives, here's just a couple here that I've just ruined out here at the ranch, building the barnuminium, working on the ranch, cutting open bags of concrete and cutting plastic buckets and cutting poly tape, electric fencing poly tape. I ruined them all. Somehow I've dulled all of my cheap Tractor Supply clearance bin pocket knives, and I just keep buying more. So now I don't have to. I could just sharpen these and keep using them. Plus, we use a lot more knives out here besides just our pocket knives. So we do a lot of cutting of vegetables that we grow from our garden. So we need these kitchen knives for chopping and cutting cucumbers and tomatoes and paring knives here, onions. We also like to eat a lot of chicken and steak, so we gotta keep our steak knives nice and sharp. So we got a lot of these to keep sharp. Fishing, we love to trout fish. So gotta have our filet knife super sharp. Gut and fillet those trout. Love to trout fish. Hunting. So for hunting, we gotta keep our boning and skinning and butchering knives nice and sharp. I've even got my Bearded Butcher Victorinox boning knife. Love this knife. Gotta keep that nice and sharp. What about this? Machete. Definitely gotta keep this nice and sharp. This gets dull pretty quickly. The machete, and then also, a hatchet. Probably could use the hatchet on the Whetstone. We'll see. Oh yeah, and whittling knives, woodworking. So we've got our whittling knives. Those gotta be kept sharp, yeah. Nice and sharp on those. Woodworking, chisels. This thing's got the little kit for chisels. Keep these chisels nice and sharp. So what else? Oh, multi-tools? I don't know, probably sharpen those up. Here's a fancy multi-tool with some knives in it. Definitely need to keep these sharp, right? So there are a lot of knives on the Homestead that we need to keep sharp. So I'm super happy that KERYE had sent me this Whetstone Knife Sharpening Kit because I needed it. And we're gonna see how well this thing works. It's got really nice packaging. This box is really nice, heavy duty. It's even got this magnetic flap on it. It keeps it closed. Really, really nice. This would make a perfect gift for someone. I tell you, it's really nice. There's a link down below for Amazon if you're interested in checking it out. It's really reasonably priced also. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what's inside. Ooh, fancy. Look at that. That's really nice. So we have the instructions, or a pamphlet with instructions. Yep, that's exactly what that is. And they're in English. We've got some cut-resistant gloves. That's nice, so we don't cut our fingers all up. Oh, they sent me the fancy kit. This is the advanced setup, not the basic. This is the advanced because it's coming with other things than just the basic kit comes with. For example, right here, this is the really fancy flattening block. This is what you would use to flatten the stones after they're kind of worn out and they're kind of dishing, where they've got the indentations in it from sharpening. You need to flatten them back out. So that's what this is. That's what that's for. It's also got this green polish paste. I think that's what that is. It's a green polishing compound. And I guess you kind of melt this onto the leather. It has the leather honing strop. That's what this is. It's a piece of leather that the polish goes on to polish up the knife edge. And then the leather razor strop. This is just a strap that you do your final sharpening. Takes off all the burrs and whatnot. So then we have, okay, then this is the bamboo base. It's a bamboo base that the stones sit in. And here right below that, we've got the first stone, and it's got the rubber base to it to help with the grip. And this is the 400 1000. So there's 400 grit on one side, 1000 on the other. You just flip it over, and that sits into the bamboo base here. So that's one set of stones, the 400 1000. Underneath that, we've got the other stone and another rubber base to it. And this is the 3000 and 8000 grit. 3000 and 8000. All right, and then we have the honing guide. This is what you would clamp like a chisel into and to hone in that edge. Not really sure how that would work, but it comes with it. And then we also have the edge guide. So this you put on the back side of the knife and will help maintain that proper angle as you're sharpening across the stone. I'm no expert in knife sharpening, so I'm just gonna tell you what it says here in the manual about these different stones and the different grits and what to use for what. I need my glasses to read this thing. Let's see. So the 400 and 1000. The 400 grit is for repairing nicked or chipped blades, and the 1000 is general purpose sharpening of dull knives. The 3000 is for sharpening and deburring. It's best for the meat knives. And the 8000, honing and cutting edge. Best for fruit and vegetable knives. So the instruction manual does have different sections for all the different things you could do. I'm not gonna go through them all, but you know, how to use the angle guide, how to use the honing guide, how to use, it's even got pictures, how to use the polishing compound kit, how to flatten in the sharpening stone, and then how to use the sharpening stone. And the first step in this thing is that we need to soak the 400 1000 stone in water. It needs to soak in water for about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's gonna bubble. It's gonna, fill in with all the water, and you gotta wait for all the bubbles just to stop bubbling, and then it will be ready. So when it's not absorbing any more water, that's when we know it's gonna be ready to use. So we're gonna do that. And it says to never soak the 3000, 8000. No need to do that, don't do that. So we're gonna put this in the water, and then we're gonna test it out. Okay, now that it's stopped bubbling, I'll remove the stone out of the water, and it's definitely a lot heavier, full of water. And we'll put it in the rubber base. So it'll slip around. Then into the bamboo base. All right, now we're ready to start sharpening some knives. And we're gonna start with this pocket knife right here. This one is terrible. Yeah, look at that. Sharp? No, not sharp at all. Look at that, I'm right on my hand, nothing. Tip's even broken off of it, look at that. This knife is one of the first knives I got when we bought the land, and I was using this when we were putting our fencing up, our 4-board horse fencing, to cut open bags of concrete, and so it really dulled it down, all that concrete, as I was slicing through the bag. Probably not the best thing to be doing, but it was a cheap knife from Tractor Supply. So we're gonna try these Whetstones on this really, really dull knife. And just to show you even more, I mean, I don't know what's more than just trying to cut my hand, but like the paper test, nothing. I mean, I can't, this isn't cutting at all. I mean, even on a cutting board, if I try to slice through the paper, nothing. It's dull as can be. The blade end is probably as bad as the back end. So we're gonna try this one and see how well this whetstone works. All right, the instructions say one thing. Now there's probably many different ways to do this. I'm sure there's plenty of professionals out there that know how to do this better, have their own techniques, forward, backward, upside down, close, away, whatever. I'm gonna do it the way these instructions say because this is what they sent me, and I'm gonna do it how they say to do it. I'm not a pro at this. We'll see how this works out. But it says to start with your knife close to you as the picture shows. And there's the picture there. And your right hand closest to the stone. So keep the knife close to me, close to the stone, and keep the guide on the stone to get the perfect 18-degree angle. I'm not gonna use the guide. Push the knife away from you while sliding it to the right. And then repeat this 4 to 5 times, and then reverse the knife over and follow the next step, which the next step is keep the knife away from you and keep your right hand close to the stone. Keep the guide on the stone to get the perfect 18-degree angle. Pull the knife towards you while sliding it to the right. Repeat this 4 or 5 times and go back to step 5 until satisfied. So basically, I'm gonna take the knife and I'm gonna push it towards the blade. So the blade side, I'm gonna push it that way and do that and to the right. And I'm gonna do that 4 or 5 times. Then I'm gonna reverse the knife over and then towards me, towards the blade side. So not backwards, but towards me with that, towards the blade side in that direction. So we're gonna try that and see if that works. Okay, here we go. Now I'm just kind of feeling the angle because there's definitely a bevel on that I can feel. If I go too steep, I can feel it. If I'm too shallow, I can feel it. So I'm just kind of using my touch to know if I'm doing this right, okay? I'll flip it over and now I'll come the other way. This obviously is going to take a lot of practice. You know, once you get it right, it should go pretty quick. Okay, now I'm never going to fix the tip, but I might be able to get this sharp enough to actually cut something. So let's test it after just those few passes. Let's see if I can at least cut some paper now. Well, it's better. It's cutting. Well, it's tearing a little bit. At least it's going through the paper. So, yeah, we're gonna definitely need a lot more passes than that. Now, this is the 400 grit side. So that's the coarsest I've got, and that's what I wanted to start with, especially with a knife that is so dull. You know, and then we'll graduate up to the other grits, the finer grits, to finish out the knife. Now, as this gets dried out a little bit, you want to keep it wet. So keep water on it. And we'll just keep making more passes. Now hopefully you would never let your knives get this dull, where it would take this much work to keep it sharp. See, the more I do this, the more feel I've got for it, and it's gonna get easier. I mean, this literally is the first time I've ever done this. This is gonna definitely take a lot of work to get this knife back in shape. Okay, that was quite a few passes on the 400 grit. We're gonna see now, it feels fairly sharp. I mean, I'm not gonna slice my hand with it to test it out. You know, that would be dumb. But I can definitely feel that it's sharper. Now, I'm not sure if it's gonna be able to cut. Okay, all right. It's definitely cutting, a fairly clean cut. And then into the cutting board. It cut some, yeah. That was with very little pressure, and I'll put a little more pressure on it. Okay, it's starting to cut a lot better. I mean, that would definitely cut my hand if I tried to do what I did earlier. So I think I'm gonna flip it over and go with the 1000 now. This is the 1000 grit. And that will give just a nice finer edge to the blade. I don't think I need to go all the way to the 8000 for a pocket knife, and especially for this busted up, tip missing pocket knife. Okay, I definitely felt the difference here. So it started out pretty rough. As I was pushing it across, I can feel the grit as it's cutting away at the metal of the blade. Just ever so slightly, but now I'm feeling it less. So the sharper this gets, the less I'm feeling the kind of resistance of that grit. So I think this is getting really sharp now. Let's try it. Still a little more to go. But it's definitely probably sharp enough for a pocket knife. I mean, I'm not gonna be cutting sushi with this. Okay, we got our repaired knife here with a very super sharp edge here. Not sharp enough maybe to cut a tomato or some sushi, but for paper, look at that. It didn't cut at all before, but easy. That's newspaper. Now let's try some of this printer paper that I had that I was starting with and see how well it cuts that. Nice clean cut. Now I probably still have some work to do on this to fine tune it some more, but man, it didn't take long for that sharpening stone to get this sharp enough for a pocket knife. This is the leather honing strop. This is the polishing compound. Now I don't necessarily need to polish this knife, but I'm assuming this is how this is done. So this little contraption is the chisel honing guide. So you just put the chisel into the clamp there, find the right angle, and tighten it up on the chisel itself. Like so. And it's got this little roller on the back, on the bottom, and you just back and forth on the stone, and you hone that edge in and get it as sharp as you need it. It works pretty well. So this is the flattening stone. It's got the grooves in it so that the dust and everything can move out of that, but you use this to flatten the sharpening stone once it starts to get a dip in it. And it's not flat anymore because the sharpening stone has to be flat when you're sharpening your knives. So you just run this back and forth across it, and it'll wear this down to get it nice and flat. Yep, knives are a big part of living out in the country. Living on a homestead, farm, ranch, whatever. You're gonna have knives. And if you're gonna have knives, they're gonna need to be sharpened. And this right here, this kit from KERYE, this Whetstone kit, did a really good job, and I think I recommend it. And there's a link down below in the product description if you're interested. It helps out the channel just a little bit and support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra if you purchase one of these, but it does help out the channel a little bit. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. And until next time, keep living the dream.